Alright guys, today we are going to do a quick review of how to simplify square roots. This is something that we are going to use for our next method of solving quadratic equations. So we need to make sure we know how to simplify square roots. So I want you to see square roots of some non-perfect squares can be simplified by using the factors of the number. Any perfect squared factors of a number can be simplified. So, well, I'm using this word here, perfect squares and not perfect squares. What I'm going to do is I'm going to list them. Perfect squares are those numbers such as 4, because if you take square root of 4, this is equivalent to 2. What's the next one? Square root of what is equal to 3? Well, I hope you guessed, square root of 9. What number is going to be equivalent to 4? So square root of what number is going to be equivalent to 4? Well, 4 times 4 is 16. What number is going to be equal to 5? Square root of what number? And yes, you guessed this, 25. Well, I will write a couple more. 36. So those are those all nice numbers that you did learn when you learned multiplication table. 7, that's 49. Square root of 49 is equal to 7. 8, that's 64. Square root of 64. I will continue. Square root of 81 is 9. Square root of 100 is 10. Next one, 121 is square root of 121 is 11, and the one I'm going to finish as square root of 144 is equal to 12. So the perfect squares, because I'm going to be using them all the time in today's lesson, I'm going to list them right in here. So 4, 9, 16, 25, 36, 49, 64, 81, 100, 121, and 144. Well, now you can see them, and those are perfect squares. So now, again, why? Because you can take a square root of that, each one of those numbers, and get a nice number. We have it written right here. So if you are looking for square root of 8, you want to write this 8 as a multiplication of two numbers, and you want one of those numbers to be a perfect square. Well, I'm going through my list. Of course, I need to use 4. So it's square root of 4 times square root of 2, right? Because 4 times 2 is going to give you 8. And what is square root of 4 equal to? Square root of 4 is equal to 2, and square root of 2 is left. That's it. So this is multiplication in between those. So it's 2 times square root of 2. I do not want anybody to use the calculator on this worksheet. All right, let's think about 63. 63, can we write this as a multiplication of a perfect square and some other number? So 63, is 63 divisible by 4? Well, it's an odd number, so it's not. Is 63 divisible by 9? That's nice. 9 times 7. And again, I didn't do anything with this, so I just split this apart, and I can do that. I can, if I could write this way, or I can write this separately as square root of 9 times square root of 7. Either way, now we know that we can find square root of 9, that's 3, because 9 is a perfect square, times square root of 7. Again, there are different ways of writing this down, there are different ways of explaining this, and I know you did this a little bit with Miss Mac before we left school. All right, 20. 20 we can write, and again, you can either write stuff like this, or you can write this way. 20, I am looking at my perfect square. Can I write 20 as 4 times something? Well, that's 4 times 5. And I do know now that square root of 5 is 2, and square root of 5 is going to be left. All right? Another one is 18, square root of 18. Square root of 18. Well, 18. Can I write 18 as 4 times something? No. Can I write 18 as 9 times something? Yes, I can. 9 times 2. What's square root of 9? Square root of 9 is 3. And square root of 2 is what's left. Again, I will be actually very curious to see what method you will prefer. 108. 108 is 108 divisible by 4. Of course, you do want to figure out what is the highest number. So, well, it's not 64 because 64 we would have to multiply by at least 2 and that is not going to happen. 49, well, 49 times 2 would be 98, so no. Maybe 36. I am going to use a calculator for it because I have one here. 108 divided by 36 is 3. So this is 36 times 3. Square root of 36 is 6, and square root of 3 is what's left. Again, pay attention. You can either use this method or this method. And what I mean by the method, the way of writing the answer. All right, 52. Square root of 52. 52 is divisible by 4, I believe. And 52 divided by 4 is 13. If you do need help with the basic calculations like this, please use a calculator, but please do not put this as a square root of 52 and give me a decimal. So now having said that, I know that square root of 4 is 2. And square root of 13 is what's left. Again, remember there's multiplication sign in between. And then we have the last row of the questions. 80. 80. Well, sometimes we can't think of the highest number that would work. So I do know that 80 is equivalent to 4 times 20. And if we think about this for a second, now square root of 4 is 2. But now we can continue because 20 can again be written as 4 times 5. So again, I have a perfect square under the square root. So I am going to bring this out. So now I am going to have 2 times 2 times square root of 5, which is equivalent to 4 square root of 5. Well, somebody could say, I wouldn't do it that way. I would say right from the beginning, so this is the first option. Some of you might have thought, well, but 80 is equivalent to 16 times 5. And 16 is a perfect square. So now square root of 16 is 4. Square root of 5, notice, either way works. We are right in both ways. All right, 700, square root of 700. Whenever you have something that is divisible by 100, make sure you use 100 times whatever number. All right, sometimes we forget about the basics. Now, 100, square root of 100 gives us 10. Square root of 7 is left. And 576. That is a large number. Is 576 divisible by 4? It is. So what I am going to notice is that when I divided on a calculator 576 divided by 4, I did get 144. So that means that 576 is equivalent to 4 times 144. And then what do I notice? Both of those numbers are perfect squares. So it's like taking the 2 out and taking the 12 out. Again, multiplication in between them, 2 times 12, 24, done and done. You will have a practice page, I believe also with the same amount of questions. Please make sure you do it the same way I did and have fun with that.